Art comes first before the artist. You don't aim to be an artist, you aim to make art. I know a lot of people who just want to be called artists, but they do no actual work. They just want the title, either to put it on their resume or have it like a trophy, so that they can brag about it. Picasso once said, "Every child is an artist." The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. But the people I'm talking about here do know how to paint, but they do not go further with their skill to be considered, by my standards, as artists. You don't have to be exhibiting in a gallery, nor do you have to be well known to paint for me to consider someone an artist. It's just making constant artwork. That's my definition of an artist. Aim to make art, create, and produce. Don't worry too much about being called an artist. You're already one as long as you make art. But you are one if you have only produced one painting or just exhibited once or just had one solo show, and you've stopped painting or creating art ever since, just so you can put it on your curriculum vitae. The title artist for me is one who constantly creates art. It's a present tense if that makes any sense. In the same vein, it also can't be expressed as a past tense or future tense, like you're going to be an artist or you used to be one. Because in my opinion, no one stops being an artist. Sure, you might have stopped painting in oils, but you might have been creating sculptures instead, or you might have been making YouTube videos since then. That's art. Art doesn't only have to be painting. Making something like that takes an artist, and that is what you are when you constantly create and innovate in your craft, whatever it is. And you can't be an artist in the future tense, in the sense that you can't aim to be one if you aren't actually doing something now. It's not like a graduation or profession. Just create art, no matter how crappy others might think it is, no matter how young you are. As long as you make something creative, you're an artist in my eyes. To continue to make art, what you produce, defines who you are. If you're young and inexperienced, it's understandable if your goal is to want to be called an artist, whatever artist, graphic artist, comic book artist, or director. Eventually, when you mature as one, you'll realize the title is just a title. Honing one's craft is far more important. You'll eventually let go of this notion of aiming for the title alone. Rather, instead aim for that. You'll realize that what you should be aiming for is a message. A message that you want to tell to the world and make an artwork out of that. Most artists don't even know that you should at least have a message in your artwork. If you focus on that instead and make art expressing that message or idea, it won't matter if you graduated from a fine art school, or have a well-paying job at a graphics or illustration, or comic book company. Everyone will recognize you're an artist. And as much as I've encountered people bragging they're artists while producing so little work, I've also encountered the opposite. These are the ones who paint and produce work, but they don't want to be called artists. I know what a silly world we live in, right? But trust me, they do exist. They often say, "I'm not an artist," saying it like it's cool to say such things. Saying this when they're with other artists, and saying it just to sound counterculture or against the flow. And some say it because they think they still aren't yet considered artists. After all, their vision of an artist is someone who's either well known in the art scene or someone who produces thousands of works. It's great that these people have humility, although the dark side of this is, it gives you an excuse to produce so little work, which is also not healthy art-wise. They obviously have the skills and talent, they have a message to say, but are too afraid to be called or admit they are artists, just because if they do, they would have to make more art. That they have to commit to it. And they're too afraid to do that because they don't know if they could keep it up, or they don't know where they could get the idea of a good concept to paint the next time. My advice is just don't be lazy to paint. Have the discipline to make art consistently, so that you don't have to be insecure about such a title, and let your body of work speak for you, as well as don't put the label of an artist in such a high pedestal. You get to deny what you really are and some other fool who's pretending to be one brag about it. That's not fair nor right if you ask me. And for me, I consider myself an artist because I make art, and that's it. As simple as that. I did it yesterday, I do it today, and tomorrow I know I'll be making more. When you can't say or do that anymore, then maybe that's when you doubt if you're still an artist, but heck, don't brag about it, nor deny it either. You always sound arrogant, especially to fellow artists. It doesn't matter if you're called or not called an artist, just produce artworks. That's what is really important. Instead of explaining whether you are an artist or not, just talk about your work. If you have something to talk about, then you are one. If not, then you aren't. It's that simple. You have to be brave in making art. It is not for the faint of heart. Art making is an adventure, and like any adventure, you have to be the one who sets out and decides you want it, and be brave even if it's too scary most of the time. Anyone who produces art is an artist. Anyone who cares or cares not about the label is anything but.